Address to my Malay Krees, written while pursued by a French privateer off Sumatra, by John Leyden. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. Where is the arm I well could trust to urge the dagger in the fray? Alas! how powerless now its thrust beneath Malaya's burning day! The sun has withered in their prime the nerves that once were strong as steel. Alas! in danger's venturous time, that I should live their loss to feel. Yet still my trusty Krees prove true, if e'er thou serv'st at need the brave, and thou shalt wear a crimson hue, or I shall win a watery grave. Now let thine edge like lightning glow, and, second but thy master's will, Malay ne'er struck a deadlier blow, though practised in the art to kill. Oh, by thy point, for every wound where trace of Frankish blood hath been, a golden circle shall surround thy hilt of agate smooth and green. My trusty Krees, now play thy part, and second well thy master's will, and I will wear thee next my heart, and many a lifeblood owe thee still. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
An Alice Alphabet by Carolyn Wells. Read for LibriVox.org by Mike Overby, Parkland, Washington. A is for Alice, addressing the Queen. B is for Borogroves, mimsy and lean. C is the Cheshire Cat, wearing a grin. D is the Duchess, who had a sharp chin. E is the Eaglet, who barred out long words. F the Flamingo, the queerest of birds. G is the Griffin, loquacious and gay. H Humpty Dumpty, in gorgeous array. I is for insects with curious names. J is the Jabberwock, burbling with flames. K is the King, who was whizzed through the air. L is the Lobster, who sugared his hair. M the Mock Turtle, whose tears freely flowed. N is for Nobody seen on the road. O is for Oysters, who trotted so quick. P is the Puppy, who played with a stick. Q is the Queen, who ran very fast. R is the Rabbit, who blew a great blast. S is the Sheep, on her knitting intent. T, Tweedledum, with his noisy lament. U is the Unicorn, valiant in feud. V is the Violet, saucy and rude. W, the Walrus, addicted to chat. X, Executioner, seeking the cat. Y is the youth Father William surveyed. Z is the zigzag the mouse's tail made. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Barter by Sarah Teasdale. Read for LibriVox.org by Winston Tharp. Life has loveliness to sell, all beautiful and splendid things. Blue waves whitened on a cliff, climbing fire that sways and sings, and children's faces looking up, holding wonder like a cup. Life has loveliness to sell, music like a curve of gold, scent of pine trees in the rain, eyes that love you, arms that hold, and for your spirit's still delight, holy thoughts that star the night. Spend all you have for loveliness, buy it, and never count the cost. For one white singing hour of peace, count many a year of strife well lost, and for a breath of ecstasy, give all you have been or could be. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Before the Snow by Albert Glattigny, translated by Andrew Lang. Read for LibriVox.org by Thomas Peter. The winter is upon us, not the snow. The hills are etched on the horizon bare. The skies are iron grey, a bitter air. The meagre cloudlets shudder to and fro. One yellow leaf the listless wind doth blow, like some strange butterfly, unclassed and rare. Your footsteps ring in frozen alleys, where the black trees seem to shiver as you go. Beyond lie church and steeple, with their old and rusty vanes that rattle as they veer. A sharper gust would shake them from their hold. Yet up that path, in summer of the year, and past that melancholy pile, we strolled to pluck wild strawberries, with merry cheer. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Butter Betty Bought by Carolyn Wells. Recording by Mike Overby, Parkland, Washington. Betty bought some butter.
But,
Said she,
this butter is bitter. If I put it in my batter, it will make my batter bitter. But a bitter, better butter will but make my batter better.
Then she bought a bit of butter, better than the bitter butter, made her bitter batter better. So 'twas better Betty bought a bit of better butter. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
To the Courier Dove by John Leyden, read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. From the Arabic. Fair traveller of the pathless air, to Zara's bowers these accents bear, hid in the shade of palmy groves, and tell her where her wanderer roves. But spread, oh spread your pinion blue to guard my lines from rain and dew, and when my charming fair you see, 1,000 kisses bear from me, and softly murmur in her ear, how much I wish that I were near. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Dilettante, a Modern Type, read for LibriVox.org by Mary Patterson. A selection from Lyrics of Lowly Life by Paul Laurence Dunbar. The Dilettante, a Modern Type. He scribbles some in prose and verse, and now and then he prints it. He paints a little, gathers some, of nature's gold and mints it. He plays a little, sings a song, acts tragic roles or funny. He does because his love is strong, but not, oh, not for money. He studies almost everything, from social art to science, a thirsty mind, a flowing spring, demand and swift compliance. He looms above the sordid crowd, at least through friendly lenses, while his mama looks pleased and proud, and kindly pays expenses. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Eddi's Service by Rudyard Kipling, read for LibriVox.org by MichaelMaggs. AD 687. Eddi, priest of St. Wilfrid in his chapel at Manhood End, ordered a midnight service for such as cared to attend. But the Saxons were keeping Christmas, and the night was stormy as well. Nobody came to service, though Eddi rang the bell. "Wicked weather for walking," said Eddi of Manhood End, "but I must go on with the service for such as care to attend." The altar lamps were lighted. An old marsh donkey came, bold as a guest invited, and stared at the guttering flame. The storm beat on at the windows, the water splashed on the floor, and a wet, yoke-weary bullock pushed in through the open door. "How do I know what is greatest? How do I know what is least? That is my father's business," said Eddi, Wilfrid's priest. "But 3 are gathered together. Listen to me and attend." "I bring good news, my brethren," said Eddi of Manhood End. And he told the ox of a manger and a stall in Bethlehem,
and he spoke to the ass of a rider that rode to Jerusalem. They steamed and dripped in the chancel, they listened and never stirred, while, just as though they were bishops, Eddi preached them the word. Till the gale blew off on the marshes, and the windows showed the day, and the ox and the ass together wheeled and clattered away. And when the Saxons mocked him, said Eddi of Manhood End, I dare not shut his chapel on such as care to attend. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Footsteps of Angels by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Read for LibriVox.org by Phil Schempf. When the hours of day are numbered, and the voices of the night wake the better soul that slumbered to a holy calm delight, ere the evening lamps are lighted, and, like phantoms grim and tall, shadows from the fitful firelight dance upon the parlor wall, then the forms of the departed enter at the open door. The beloved, the true-hearted, come to visit me once more. He, the young and strong, who cherished noble longings for the strife, by the roadside fell and perished, weary with the march of life. They, the holy ones and weakly, who the cross of suffering bore, folded their pale hands so meekly, spake with us on earth no more. And with them the being beauteous, who unto my youth was given, more than all things else to love me, and is now a saint in heaven. With a slow and noiseless footstep comes that messenger divine, takes the vacant chair beside me, lays her gentle hand in mine. And she sits and gazes at me with those deep and tender eyes, like the stars, so still and saint-like, looking downward from the skies. Uttered not yet comprehended is the Spirit's voiceless prayer, soft rebukes and blessings ended, breathing from her lips of air. Oh, though oft depressed and lonely, all my fears are laid aside, if I but remember only such as these have lived and died. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Higher Education by Ella Bentley Arthur. Read for LibriVox.org by Devorah Allen. She's an algebraic wonder, all her leisure time she spends solving problems and equations that are at her fingers' ends. In the higher mathematics she has gained a college fame, where her geometric genius added luster to her name. She is up on trigonometry and figures are her forte, for she even knows the age of Anne, according to report. But when playing off a rubber, it's a pipe she'll never miss, gurgling sweetly to her partner some inspired phrase like this. Yes, indeed, I just dote on bridge. It's such a lovely scientific game. Let's see, what's trumps? She has read the leading authors, and her diction is most choice. She can rattle reams from Browning in a cultivated voice. Never platitude she utters, she's original and bright, and she scorns to use expressions that are commonplace or trite. But it's safe to bet some evening she'll be gazing at the moon with a chap who's humming marches that are popular in June, and he'll ask a single question as she slips her hand in his, and she'll whisper in his waistcoat some unique reply like this. "Oh, John, this is so sudden." She is versed in many languages, from Dutch to Corsican. She can quote a dozen poets in the tongue of quaint Japan. She excels in French and Spanish, and it even has been said she knows all the rules of grammar in a language that is dead. But the day is some time coming when she'll prattle quite offhand in a tongue so weird and complex that no man can understand. She'll be talking to a bundle, twixt a rapturous squeeze and kiss, and her line of conversation will mostly run like this. "God bless 'em's itty bitsy hardums. Did 'em naughty tolic hurt 'em's itty tummy? Zere, don't do owie, mover's itty bitsy precious hardums." End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Light of Stars by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Read for LibriVox.org by Phil Schempf. The night is come, but not too soon, and sinking silently, all silently, the little moon drops down behind the sky. There is no light in earth or heaven but the cold light of stars, and the first watch of night is given to the red planet Mars. Is it the tender star of love, the star of love and dreams? Oh no, from that blue tent above a hero's armour gleams, and earnest thoughts within me rise when I behold afar, suspended in the evening skies, the shield of that red star. O star of strength, I see thee stand and smile upon my pain. Thou beckonest with thy mailed hand, and I am strong again. Within my breast there is no light but the cold light of stars. I give the first watch of the night to the red planet Mars. The star of the unconquered will, he rises in my breast, serene and resolute and still and calm and self-possessed. And thou too, whosoe'er thou art, that readest this brief psalm, as one by one thy hopes depart, be resolute and calm. O fear not in a world like this, and thou shalt know ere long. Know how sublime a thing it is to suffer and be strong. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Man from Ironbark by Andrew Barton Patterson. Read for LibriVox.org by Peter Musgrove. It was the man from Ironbark who struck the Sydney town. He wandered over street and park, he wandered up and down. He loitered here, he loitered there, till he was like to drop, until at last in sheer despair he sought a barber's shop. Here, shave my beard and whiskers off, I'll be a man of mark. I'll go and do the Sydney toff, up home in Ironbark. The barber man was small and flash, as barbers mostly are. He wore a strike-your-fancy sash. He smoked a huge cigar. He was a humorist of note and keen at repartee. He laid the odds and kept a tote, whatever that may be. And when he saw our friend arrive, he whispered, "Here's a lark. Just watch me catch him all alive, this man from Ironbark." There were some gilded youth that sat along the barber's wall. Their eyes were dull, their heads were flat, they had no brains at all. To them the barber passed the wink, his dexter eyelids shut. "I'll make this bloomin' yokel think his bloomin' throat is cut." And as he soaped and rubbed it in, he made a rude remark. "I suppose the flats is pretty green up there in Ironbark." A grunt was all reply he got. He shaved the bushman's chin, then made the water boiling hot and dipped the razor in. He raised his hand, his brow grew black. He paused a while to gloat, then slashed the red-hot razor back across his victim's throat. Upon the newly shaven skin it made a livid mark. No doubt it fairly took him in, the man from Ironbark. He fetched a wild up-country yell, might wake the dead to hear, and though his throat he knew full well was cut from ear to ear, he struggled gamely to his feet and faced the murderous foe. "You've done for me, you dog, I'm beat. One hit before I go. I only wish I had a knife, you blessed murdering shark. But you'll remember all your life, the man from Ironbark." He lifted up his hairy paw with one tremendous clout. He landed on the barber's jaw and knocked the barber out. He set to work with tooth and nail. He made the place a wreck. He grabbed the nearest gilded youth and tried to break his neck. And all the while his throat he held to save his vital spark. And "Murder, bloody murder," yelled the man from Ironbark. A peeler man who heard the din came in to see the show. He tried to run the bushman in, but he refused to go. And when at last the barber spoke and said, "'Twas all in fun, 'twas just a little harmless joke, a trifle overdone." "A joke," he cried. "By George, that's fine. A lively sort of lark. I'd like to catch that murdering swine some night in Ironbark. And now, while round the shearing floor the listening shearers gape, he tells the story o'er and o'er, and brags of his escape. Them barber chaps what keeps a tote, by George I've had enough. One tried to cut my bloomin' throat, but thank the Lord I'm tough. And whether he's believed or no, there's one thing to remark, that flowing beards are all the go way up in Ironbark. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Martyr's Song by Christina G. Rossetti. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. We meet in joy, though we part in sorrow. We part tonight, but we meet tomorrow. Be it flood or blood the path that's trod, all the same it leads home to God. Be it furnace fire voluminous, one like God's Son will walk with us. What are those that glow from afar, these that lean over the golden bar? Strong as the lion, pure as the dove, with open arms and hearts of love. They the blessed ones gone before, they the blessed ones forevermore. Out of great tribulation they went, home to their home of heaven content. Through flood or blood or furnace fire, to the rest that fulfills desire. What are these that fly as a cloud, with flashing heads and faces bowed? In their mouths a victorious psalm, in their hands a robe and a palm. Welcoming angels, these that shine, your own angel and yours and mine, who have hedged us both day and night, on the left hand and on the right, who have watched us both night and day, because the devil keeps watch to slay. Light above light, and bliss beyond bliss, whom words cannot utter, lo, who is this? As a king with many crowns he stands, and our names are graven upon his hands. As a priest with God uplifted eyes, he offers for us his sacrifice. As the Lamb of God for sinners slain, that we too may live, he lives again. As our champion, behold him stand, strong to save us at God's right hand. God the Father give us grace to walk in the light of Jesus' face. God the Son give us a part in the hiding place of Jesus' heart. God the Spirit so hold us up that we may drink of Jesus' cup. Death is short and life is long. Satan is strong, but Christ more strong. At his word, who hath led us hither, the Red Sea must part hither and thither. At his word, who goes before us too, Jordan must cleave to let us through. Yet one pang, searching and sore, and then heaven for evermore. Yet one moment awful and dark, then safety within the veil and the ark. Yet one effort by Christ his grace, then Christ forever, face to face. God the Father we will adore, in Jesus' name, now and evermore. God the Son we will love and thank, in this flood and on the farther bank. God the Holy Ghost we will praise, in Jesus' name, through endless days. God Almighty, God three in one, God Almighty, God alone. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
In Memory of Rupert Brooke by Joyce Kilmer. Read for LibriVox.org by Colleen McMahon. In alien earth across a troubled sea, his body lies that was so fair and young. His mouth is stopped, with half his songs unsung. His arm is still, that struck to make men free. But let no cloud of lamentation be, where on a warrior's grave a lyre is hung. We keep the echoes of his golden tongue. We keep the vision of his chivalry. So Israel's joy, the loveliest of kings, smote now his harp, and now the hostile horde. Today the starry roof of heaven rings with psalms a soldier made to praise his Lord. And David rests beneath eternal wings, song on his lips, and in his hand a sword. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Merry Autumn by Paul Laurence Dunbar. Read for LibriVox.org by Mary Patterson. A selection from Lyrics of a Lowly Life. Merry autumn. It's all a farce, these tales they tell, about the breezes sighing and moans astir over field and dell, because the year is dying. Such principles are most absurd. I care not who first taught 'em. There's nothing known to beast or bird to make a solemn autumn. In solemn times when grief holds sway, with countenance distressing, you'll note the more of black and gray will then be used in dressing. Now purple tints are all around, the sky is blue and mellow, and even the grasses turn the ground from modest green to yellow. The seed burrs all with laughter crack on featherweed and jimson, and leaves that should be dressed in black are all decked out in crimson. A butterfly goes winging by, a singing bird comes after, and nature all from earth to sky is bubbling over with laughter. The ripples wimple on the rills like sparkling little lasses. The sunlight runs along the hills and laughs among the grasses. The earth is just so full of fun, it really can't contain it. And streams of mirth so freely run, the heavens seem to rain it. Don't talk to me of solemn days in autumn's time of splendor, because the sun shows fewer rays, and these grow slant and slender. Why, it's the climax of the year, the highest time of living, till naturally its bursting cheer just melts into Thanksgiving. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Miracle by Verna Sherwood. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. Up from the temple city of the Jews, the road ran straight and white to Jericho, the city of palms, the city of delight. Down that still road from far Judean hills the shepherds drove their sheep at silver dawn, at stirring of the birds, when men were all asleep. Full many went that weary way at noon, or rested by the trees, Romans and slaves, Gentiles and bearded priests, sinners and Pharisees. But when the pink clouds drifted far and high, like rose leaves blowing past, when in the west, where one star blessed the sky, the gates of day shut fast, all travellers journeyed home, and the moonlight washed the road fresh and sweet, until it seemed a gleaming ivory path waiting for royal feet. Now it was noon, and life at its full tide rolled ever to and fro, a restless sea between Jerusalem and white-walled Jericho. Blind Bartimaeus by the highway side sat begging 'neath the trees, and heard the world go by, Gentiles and Jews, sinners and Pharisees. Blind Bartimaeus, of the mask-like face and patient, outstretched hand, he upon whom his God had set a mark no man might understand. Blind Bartimaeus of the lonely dark, who knew no thing called fear, but dreamt his dreams, and heard the little sounds no man but he could hear. He heard the beating of the bird's soft wings uprising through the air. He heard the camel's footfall in the dust, and knew who travelled there. He heard the lizard when it moved at noon on the grey sunlit wall. He heard the far-off temple bells what time he felt the shadows fall. Now in the golden hour he stooped to hear a muffled sound, and lo, a tramping of a myriad sandaled feet that came from Jericho. Then on the road a little lad he knew ran past with eager cry, "Ho, Bartimaeus, give thine heart good cheer, for David's son comes by. He comes, and sad one, who can say what he may do for thee? He makes the lame to walk, and heals the sick. He makes the blind to see, O God of hosts, beyond the sky called blue. What if Messiah cometh to his own? What if the words be true?" On his swift way the little herald sped, like bird upon the wing, and left the lean, brown beggar, world forgot, waiting for Israel's King. But when the dust came whirling to his feet, when the mad throng drew near, blind Bartimaeus rose, and from his lips a cry rang loud and clear, the cry of all the ages, of each soul in sad captivity, the endless cry from depths of bitter woe, "Have mercy upon me!" What though the wild oncoming multitude jested and bade him cease? What though the scribes and mighty Pharisees told him to keep his peace? What though his heart grew faint, and all the strength slipped from each trembling limb? The One of all the earth his soul desired stood still and spoke to him. Then silence fell, while the upheaving throng, as sea waves backward curled, left a great path, and down the path there shone the light of all the world, the light from whose mysterious golden depths the sun rose in his might, the light from whose white hidden fires were lit the torches of the night, the light that shining on a thing of clay giveth it life at will, the light that with an unknown power can blast and bid all life be still, the light that calls a ray of its own light a man's undying soul, the light that lifts the broken lives of earth, touches and makes them whole. Up towards the radiance Bartimaeus went, alone and poor and blind, feeling his way, if haply it led on to one he fain would find. Then spoke the voice again, O mystic words of a compelling grace! The curtain rose from off his darkened sight, he saw the King's own face. So strangely beautiful, so strangely near, he worshipped with his eyes, unheeding that for him at last there shone the sunlit noonday skies. What though the clamoring crowd echoed his name unto its utmost rim? He only saw the Christ, and in the light he rose and followed him. O Bartimaeus of the mask-like face and patient outstretched hand, was it for this God set on thee the mark no man might understand? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Moonlit Night by Joseph von Eichendorff, 1788 to 1857. Read for LibriVox.org. Methought the heavens had wafted down to the earth a kiss, which she on her blossom pillow now dreams of with thrills of bliss. The night wind passed o'er the meadows, the cornfields swayed in the air, the forest gently murmured, the night was so starlit and fair. Then shook my soul her pinions wide open, far to roam o'er the dim silent country, as though 'twere flying home. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Morning Prayer by Joseph von Eichendorff, 1788 to 1857. Read for LibriVox.org. O silence, deep, impressive, thrilling, sweet solitude! One fancies now that, conscious of God's presence filling its depths, the wood in prayer doth bow. Fresh feel I as if new created, the sorrows that did o'er me rush are gone. My soul, reanimated, at yesterday's despair doth blush. Thou didst not make this world, my Father, my permanent abode to be. It is not home. I count it rather a bridge across life's stream to thee. And if my precious gift betray I, unworthy if my song become, then broken be my harp, and may I through all eternity be dumb. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
No Solitude by Pamela Sarah Vining. Read for LibriVox.org by Larry Wilson. Whither shall I go from thy spirit? I stood where ocean lashed the sounding shore with his unresting waves, and gazed far out upon the billowy strife. I saw the deep lifting his watery arms to grasp the clouds, while the black clouds stooped from the stable arch of the storm-darkened heavens, and deep to deep answered responsive in the ceaseless roar of thunders and of floods. Here then I am alone, and this is solitude, I murmured low. As in the presence of the risen storm I bowed my head abashed. Alone? The echoing concave of the skies replied, Alone? The waves responded, and the winds in hollow murmurs answered back, Alone? Thou canst not be alone, for God is here, yon mighty waste of waters whose deep voice goes up unceasingly to heaven. He holds e'en as a drop within his hollow hand. He makes his dark pavilion stormy clouds. The winds and thunders are his uttered voice, and the red flames that blaze athwart the sky are but the lightnings of his awful glance. I stood at eve, where high in upper air a mountain reared its solitary head, bathing its forehead in the ruddy light of cloudless sunset. Like a snowy veil the white mist gathered o'er the distant plain, while over all the sunset heavens shone in burning glory, and the blushing west gathered all gorgeous hues into a wreath of wondrous radiance to twine around the temples of her monarch ere he sought the chambers of his rest. Full orbed the moon rode slowly up the east, while one by one spirits of night lighted the lamps of heaven. This is to be alone, I whispered low, for nature's solemn beauty had a spell to awe my soul to silence. What, alone? Murmured the mountain wind, as round my brow it waved its rustling pinions. What, alone? The voices questioned from the sighing pines. Alone, the stars repeated to my soul. In the Eternal's presence canst thou stand, while all around, beneath thee, and within, attest his presence, and thus idly deem thou art alone? No, thou art not alone, for God is here. It was a summer noon. The soft south wind made music mid the boughs of the cool forest, whence glad bursts of song floated unceasing. On a mossy bank, starred with pale flowers, I laid me down to rest, yet not to slumber. Tenderly the sky glanced like a loving spirit through the leaves, and ever and anon, like fleecy gold, the yellow sunbeams dropped amid the gloom, startling the shadows. 'Twas a hallowed scene. Each waving leaf seemed instinct with glad life, and every sound was richly freighted with the wealth of harmony. Is this to be alone? I only questioned. Yet my secret soul needed from nature no responsive voice, for my whole being with a thrill of joy replied, In all the universe of God there is no solitude. O soul of mine, joy in thy wealth of being, in the power to grasp the infinite where'er thou turnst, to see him, feel him near, yet most of all him to adore and love, to hear his voice in every breeze, in every gentle chime of the sweet waters, in the song of birds, the hum of insects, and all deeper tones of nature's wondrous music. Yet far more to recognize his spirit's gentle voice unto thy spirit, whispering tenderly, I am thy Father, thy Redeemer, thine amid the devious paths that chequer earth, and thine in heaven. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
November 11th, by Elizabeth Hanley. Recorded for LibriVox.org by Colleen McMahon. 1,000 whistles break the bonds of sleep with swift, exultant summons, wild and shrill. Impassioned tongues of flame toward heaven leap to tell us peace is come, the guns are still. 1,000 flags have blossomed in the air like poppies in a garden by the sea. Beyond the eastern hills, a golden flare foretells the day that broke on Calvary. Long darkened liberty uplifts once more her torch on Belgium, Poland, and Alsace, and Flanders on each desecrated shore. Slow dawns the sun, and on my mother's face the look, I think, that Mary must have worn in Galilee on resurrection morn. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Ode to the Evening Star by John Leyden, read for LibriVox.org by Newgatenovelist. How sweet thy modest light to view, fair star, to love and lovers dear, while trembling on the falling dew, like beauty shining through a tear, or hanging o'er that mirror stream, to mark that image trembling there, thou seem'st to smile with softer gleam, to see thy lovely face so fair. Though, blazing o'er the arch of night, the moon thy timid beams outshine, as far as thine each starry light, her rays can never vie with thine. Thine are the soft enchanting hours, when twilight lingers on the plain, and whispers to the closing flowers, that soon the sun will rise again. Thine is the breeze that, murmuring bland as music, wafts the lover's sigh, and bids the yielding heart expand in love's delicious ecstasy. Fair star, though I be doomed to prove that rapture's tears are mixed with pain, ah, still I feel 'tis sweet to love, but sweeter to be loved again. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Prologue to Every Man in His Humour by Ben Jonson, read for LibriVox.org by Bhavya. Scene: London. Prologue. Though need make many poets, and some such as art in nature have not bettered much, yet ours for want hath not so loved the stage, as he dare serve the ill customs of the age, or purchase your delight at such a rate, as for it he himself must justly hate, to make a child now swaddle to proceed, man, and then shoot up in one beard and weed, past 60 years, or with 3 rusty swords, and help of some few foot and half-foot words, fight over York and Lancaster's King Jars, and in the tiring house bring wounds to scars. He rather prays you will be pleased to see one such today as other place should be, where neither chorus wafts you over the seas, nor creaking throne comes down the boys to please, nor nimble squib is seen to make afeard the gentlewoman, nor rolled bullet heard to say it thunders, nor tempestuous drum rumbles to tell you when the storm doth come, but deeds and language such as men do use, and persons such as a comedy would choose, when she would shew an image of the times, and sport with human follies, not with crimes, except we make them such by loving still our popular errors, when we know they're ill. I mean such errors as you'll all confess, by laughing at them, they deserve no less, which when you heartily do, there's hope left then, you that have so graced monsters may like men. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Ragnarok, The Twilight of the Gods by Arthur Guiterman, read for LibriVox.org by Colleen McMahon. Ho, Heimdall sounds the Gjallarhorn, the hosts of hell rush forth, and Fenris rages redly from his shackles in the north. Unleashed is Garm, and Luck is loosed, and freed is giant Rime. The rainbow bridge is broken by the hordes of Muspelheim. The wild Valkyries ride the wind with spear and clanging shield, where all the hates embattled are met on Vigrid field. For there shall fall the mighty ones by valiant men adored, great Odin, Tyr the fearless, and Frey that sold his sword. And Thor shall slay the dragon, whose breath shall be his bane. The gods themselves will perish, the sons of the gods shall reign. Old Time shall sound the boding horn again and yet again. to rouse the warring passions that swell the hearts of men. Revolt shall wake, and anarchy, with all their horrid throng, revenge, destruction, rapine, the spawn of ancient wrong. With all the hosts of slaughter that our own sins must breed, cold hate, oppression's daughter, and rage, the child of greed. Then, though we stand to battle as men have ever stood, down, down shall crash our temples, the evil and the good. Yea, all that now we cherish must pass, but not in vain. The gods we love shall perish, the sons of the gods shall reign. So, strong in faith, or weak in doubt, or berserk mad, we range our spears in that long battle which means not death, but change. Our highest with our lowest must own the grim behest, and good shall yield for better, else how should come the best? Yet if we win our portion, how dare we crave the whole? And if we still press forward, why need we know the goal? But those whose hearts are constant, and those whose souls are wise, have said that from our ashes a nobler race shall rise. From shreds of shattered altars to rear the perfect fane, our little gods must perish, that God himself shall reign. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Reaper and the Flowers by Henry Wadsworth Longfellow. Read for LibriVox.org by Phil Schempf. In his diary, under date of December 6, 1838, Mr. Longfellow writes, "A beautiful holy morning within me. I was softly excited, I knew not why, and wrote with peace in my heart, and not without tears in my eyes, The Reaper and the Flowers, a psalm of death. I have had an idea of this kind in my mind for a long time, without finding any expression for it in words. This morning it seemed to crystallize at once, without any effort of my own. This psalm was printed in the Knickerbocker for January 1839, with the subtitle, A Psalm of Death, and with the familiar stanza from Henry Vaughan, beginning, Dear beauteous death, the jewel of the just. There is a reaper whose name is Death, and with his sickle keen he reaps the bearded grain at a breath, and the flowers that grow between. Shall I have naught that is fair, saith he, have naught but the bearded grain? Though the breath of these flowers is sweet to me, I will give them all back again. He gazed at the flowers with tearful eyes, he kissed their drooping leaves. It was for the Lord of Paradise he bound them in his sheaves. My Lord has need of these flowerets gay, the reaper said and smiled. Dear tokens of the earth are they, where he was once a child. They shall all bloom in fields of light, transplanted by my care, and saints upon their garments white these sacred blossoms wear. And the mother gave, in tears and pain, the flowers she most did love. She knew she should find them all again in the fields of light above. Oh, not in cruelty, not in wrath, the reaper came that day. 'Twas an angel visited the green earth and took the flowers away. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Reconciliation by Carlotta Perry. Read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. Reconciliation. We crown the unconscious brew with wreaths of bays. We press in pulseless hands the sweetest flowers. When all unneeded any grace of ours, we find a voice for all the loving praise, for which, perhaps, through weary unblessed days, the heart had hungered. We are slow to prove the tenderness we feel, till some dark day we can do naught but bow our head and pray that heaven may teach us how to show our love. May it not be that on the other side they wait for us, and like us long to make the sad wrongs right, ready to give and take the hand clasps and the kisses here denied. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Sonnet to Expression by Helen Maria Williams. Read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. Sonnet to Expression. Expression, child of soul, I fondly trace thy strong enchantments when the poet's lyre, the painter's pencil catch thy sacred fire, and beauty wakes for thee her touching grace. But from this frighted glance thy form avert, when horrors check thy tear, thy struggling sigh, when frenzy rolls in thy impassioned eye, or guilt sits heavy on thy labouring heart. Nor ever let my shuddering fancy bear the wasting groan, or view the pallid look of him the Muses loved, when hope forsook his spirit, vainly to the Muses dear. For charmed with heavenly song, this bleeding breast mourns the blest power of verse could give despair no rest. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Spring Offensive by Wilfred Owen. Read for LibriVox.org by Winston Tharp. Halted against the shade of a last hill, they fed, and lying easy were at ease, and finding comfortable chests and knees, carelessly slept. But many there stood still, to face the stark blank sky beyond the ridge, knowing their feet had come to the end of the world. Marveling they stood, and watched the long grass swirled by the May breeze, murmurous with wasp and midge. For though the summer oozed into their veins, like the injected drug for their bones' pains, sharp on their souls hung the imminent line of grass, fearfully flashed the sky's mysterious glass. Hour after hour they ponder the warm field and the far valley behind, where the buttercups had blessed with gold their slow boots coming up, where even the little brambles would not yield, but clutched and clung to them like sorrowing hands. They breathed like trees unstirred. Till like a cold gust thrilled the little word, at which each body and its soul begird and tighten them for battle. No alarms of bugles, no high flags, no clamorous haste, only a lift and flare of eyes that face the sun, like a friend with whom their love is done. Oh, larger shone that smile against the sun, mightier than his whose bounty these have spurned. So soon they topped the hill, and raced together over an open stretch of herb and heather exposed. And instantly the whole sky burned with fury against them, and soft sudden cups opened in thousands for their blood, and the green slopes chasmed and steepened sheer to infinite space. Of them who running on that last high place leapt to swift unseen bullets, or went up on the hot blast and fury of hell's upsurge, or plunged and fell away past this world's verge, some say God caught them even before they fell. But what say such as from existence brink ventured, but drave too swift to sink? The few who rushed in the body to enter hell, and there outfiending all its fiends and flames with superhuman inhumanities, long famous glories, immemorial shames, and crawling slowly back have by degrees regained cool, peaceful air in wonder. Why speak they not of comrades that went under? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Talk on Waterloo Bridge by Theodore Watts Dunton. Read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. A Talk on Waterloo Bridge, the last sight of George Borrow. We talked of children of the open air, who once on hill and valley lived aloof, loving the sun, the wind, the sweet reproof of storms, and all that makes the fair earth fair, till on a day, across the mystic bar of moonrise, came the children of the roof, who find no balm 'neath evening's rosiest woof, nor dews of peace beneath the morning star, who looked over London, where men wither and choke, roofed in, poor souls, renouncing stars and skies, and lore of woods and wild wind prophecies, yea, every voice that to their fathers spoke. And sweet it seemed to die ere bricks and smoke leave never a meadow outside paradise. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Thor visits the giant Hymir, from Canto 8 of The Gods of the North, by Adam Oehlenschläger, 1779 to 1850. Read for LibriVox.org. Thor, though vexed in mind, his anger prudently resolved to hide. Thus to be the butt of mockery to the giants galled his pride. Vengeful thoughts his heart corroding urge him 'gainst that lawless crew. Down to ocean's deepest cavern he would fain his foes pursue. Now to Odin's throne ascending, in his brazen armor clad, low with filial reverence bending, to Alfadar thus he said: Force 'gainst giants naught availeth, wisdom too must bear its part. Father, from thy cup of science grant one drop to cheer my heart. Quaffing now from wisdom's beaker, new conceptions fill his brain. Not this time to Loke his comrade of his plan will Thor explain. Soul his bold career pursuing, think what joy his bosom feels, proudly Dover's lofty pine tops crushing with his chariot wheels. Now the rocky cave approaching, near the vast white foaming sea, where for ages Midgard's serpent coiled amidst the seaweed lay. When he viewed it put in motion, treacherously the billow blew, swelled his heart with deep emotion, glances proud towards heaven he threw. Monster vile, thou shalt no longer, thus in thought discourse he holds, the affrighted earth encircle with thy venom-sweltered folds. Thou shalt cease thy hateful pastime, hurling seamen down to Ran. Thor shall crush thee from thy fury, Thor shall free the race of man. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
To an Old Fogey, who contends that Christmas is played out, by Owen Seaman. Read for LibriVox.org by Thomas Peter. Oh, frankly bald and obviously stout, and so you find that Christmas as a fate, dispassionately viewed, is getting out of date. The studied festal air is overdone, the humour of it grows a little thin. You fail, in fact, to gather where the fun comes in. Visions of very heavy meals arise that tend to make your organism shiver. Roast beef that irks, and pies that agonize the liver. Those pies at which you annually wince, hearing the tale how happy months will follow, proportioned to the total mass of mince you swallow. Visions of youth whose reverence is scant, who with the brutal verve of boyhood's prime insist on being taken to the pantomime. Of infants sitting up extremely late, who run you on toboggans down the stair, or make you fetch a rug and simulate a bear. This takes your faultless trousers at the knees, the other hurts them rather more behind, and both effect a fracture in your ease of mind. My good dyspeptic, this will never do. Your weary withers must be sadly wrung, yet once I well believe that even you were young. Time was when you devoured, like other boys, plum-pudding sequent on a turkey hen, with cracker mottos hinting of the joys of men. Time was when mid the maidens you would pull the fiery raisin with profound delight, when sprigs of mistletoe seemed beautiful and right. Old Christmas changes not. Long, long ago he won the treasure of eternal youth. Yours is the dotage, if you want to know the truth. Come now, I'll cure your case, and ask no fee. Make others' happiness this once your own. All else may pass. That joy can never be outgrown. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Troubled with the Itch and Rubbing with Sulphur by George M. Horton. Read for LibriVox.org by Winston Tharp. 'Tis bitter, yet 'tis sweet. Scratching affects but transient ease. Pleasure and pain together meet, and vanish as they please. My nails, the only balm, to every bump are oft applied, and thus the rage will sweetly calm, which aggravates my hide. It soon returns again. A frown succeeds to every smile. Grinning I scratch, and curse the pain, but grieve to be so vile. In fine, I know not which can play the most deceitful game, the devil, sulphur, or the itch. The three are but the same. The devil sows the itch, and sulphur has a loathsome smell, and with my clothes as black as pitch, I stink where'er I dwell. Excoriated deep, by friction played on every part, it oft deprives me of my sleep, and plagues me to my heart. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Tutor by Carolyn Wells. Recorded by Mike Overby, Parkland, Washington. A tutor who tooted the flute tried to teach two young tutors to toot. Said the two to the tutor,
"Is it harder to toot, or to tutor two tutors to toot?"
End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Wintertime by Robert Louis Stevenson. Read for LibriVox.org by Thomas Peter. Late lies the wintry sun abed, a frosty, fiery, sleepy head. Blinks but an hour or two, and then, a blood-red orange, sets again. Before the stars have left the skies, at morning in the dark I rise, and shivering in my nakedness, by the cold candle, bathe and dress. Close by the jolly fire I sit, to warm my frozen bones a bit, or with a reindeer sled, explore the colder countries round the door. When to go out, my nurse doth wrap me in my comforter and cap. The cold wind burns my face, and blows its frosty pepper up my nose. Black are my steps on silver sod, thick blows my frosty breath abroad, and tree and house, and hill and lake, are frosted like a wedding cake. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
A Woman Waits for Me by Walt Whitman. Read for LibriVox.org by Mattisyahu. A woman waits for me, she contains all, nothing is lacking. Yet all were lacking if sex were lacking, or if the moisture of the right man were lacking. Sex contains all, bodies, souls, meanings, proofs, purities, delicacies, results, promulgations, songs, commands, health, pride, the maternal mystery, the seminal milk, all hopes, benefactions, bestowals, all the passions, loves, beauties, delights of the earth, all the governments, judges, gods, followed persons of the earth. These are contained in sex as parts of itself and justifications of itself. Without shame, the man I like knows and avows the deliciousness of his sex. Without shame, the woman I like knows and avows hers. Now I will dismiss myself from impassive women. I will go stay with her who waits for me, and with those women that are warm-blooded and sufficient for me. I see that they understand me and do not deny me. I see that they are worthy of me. I will be the robust husband of those women. They are not one jot less than I am. They are tanned in the face by shining suns and blowing winds. Their flesh has the old divine suppleness and strength. They know how to swim, row, ride, wrestle, shoot, run, strike, retreat, advance, resist, defend themselves. They are ultimate in their own right. They are calm, clear, well possessed of themselves. I draw you close to me, you women. I cannot let you go. I would do you good. I am for you, and you are for me, not only for our own sake, but for others' sakes. Enveloped in you sleep greater heroes and bards. They refuse to awake at the touch of any man but me. It is I, you women, I make my way. I am stern, acrid, large, undisputable, but I love you. I do not hurt you any more than is necessary for you. I pour the stuff to start sons and daughters fit for these states. I press with slow, rude muscle. I brace myself effectually. I listen to no entreaties. I dare not withdraw till I deposit what has so long accumulated within me. Through you I drain the pent-up rivers of myself. In you I wrap 1,000 onward years. On you I graft the grafts of the best beloved of me and America. The drops I distill upon you shall grow fierce and athletic girls, new artists, musicians, and singers. The babes I beget upon you are to beget babes in their turn. I shall demand perfect men and women out of my love spendings. I shall expect them to interpenetrate with others, as I and you interpenetrate now. I shall count on the fruits of the gushing showers of them, as I count on the fruits of the gushing showers I give now. I shall look for loving crops from the birth, life, death, immortality I plant so lovingly now. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.